Hello, thank you for joining. In this video, we're going to focus on the impact of Hurricane Helene on Amboy Road. This area is interesting because it's where the Swannanoa River dumps into the French Broad River. Hurricane Helene hit about 2 months ago on September the 27th. My name is Dominic Taverniti. I live in Black Mountain with my family. Since the storm, I've been filming our area and putting a focus on both the impact as well as our recovery from the storm. Now, if you're not familiar with the past videos, I'm going to use maps as well as aerial photography and ground footage and hopefully give you a perspective of where the filming is taking place as well as what actually happened on the ground. Let's flip over to a map really quick to show where we are going to be focused today. Now in the center of the screen you can see Asheville. Amboy Road is about here. Now in past videos we have traced the Swannanoa River and the watersheds that had come all the way down into Asheville. And this is the point at which the Swannanoa River dumps into the French Broad River, headed into the River Arts District. As with the past video where we covered Biltmore Village and took a look at this topographical shelf which defines the floodplain, we'll do the same again here. Now this shelf is going to keep the water focused in that floodplain. Of course, we can see the rivers here, Swannanoa River coming into the French Broad. Now from the flooding and the damage that was done, we saw that the water, of course, jumped the banks, which is no different here. We'll see in a clip in this video where the water went over Interstate 40, and it's going to cover all of this area. Now I spoke with the owner of Greenway Lodge and Cabins. We'll see some video from them, but he speculated that the Swannanoa River dumping in at this point had a pooling effect in this area. So it made the water quite high. And in our next video, we're going to go into the River Arts District and talk to a couple business owners in the impact that it had downstream. But today we're going to focus on Amboy Road, going the entire distance and as it crosses the French Broad River. Next up, we're going to look at some aerial shots with the drone located here at the intersection of the two rivers. First, looking east and tracing down the Swannanoa River, then turning to face upriver, up the French Broad, and then finally downriver, looking towards the River Arts District. All right, so we're looking down the Swannanoa Valley here, pointed east. The Black Mountains over in this area is Mount Mitchell. You can see this ridge line there. This is the Swannanoa range here. We're looking at Black Mountain, Montreat, and Swannanoa upriver. So roughly the Swannanoa River is going to come down through Biltmore Village and down this area. This is Biltmore Village here. Now this area, this is the Biltmore estate, all in this area. And you can see the building there. Now paralleling that road is the Swannanoa River as it dumps into the French Broad. Now we're panning west to look up Amboy Road and French Broad River there. Those are the Smoky Mountains off on the horizon. And now we will turn to face north down the French Broad River, and we can see the River Arts District in this area, and Asheville is just off screen here. Now this is Interstate 40 going west, and the French Broad River as it crosses under 40. And off to the right here, we can see Interstate 240. And in a moment, we are going to cut to a clip from September the 27th to show the how high the water had come in this area. Now take a look at this section here before we cut to that clip so you can see where the water line had come up here. Now we are looking down. So here's that exit you saw before, 240 there, and the down ramp from the exit. Now this is that area I'd mentioned before where you can see that the river had gone over Interstate 40. Now first we're going to fly the drone all the way down Amboy Road so you can get oriented with some of the landmarks, and then we're going to come back and focus on Wilson's Riverfront camping. And we're approaching Carrier Park, if you recognize it. Again, Interstate 40 off to the right, and Biltmore Estate on the right-hand side. Now we have the Greenway. You see the path. That's the French Broad River Greenway. Now we're at the top of Amboy Road. This is the off-ramp here to the right from Interstate 240. Now we're pulling up to Wilson's Riverfront RV Park. While I was there, I had an opportunity to talk to Tony Wilson, the owner. While they don't have any facilities in place at the moment, they do have an opportunity. If they can raise enough funds to get their water restored, to potentially sign a contract with FEMA. This would be a huge win for them. Give them a little bit of time to take a breath and continue to do repairs and hopefully get their business back online. I have a link in the description to a GoFundMe that I've started. It's to support me in the filming that I'm doing, but also to give to businesses like this that I find that don't have fundraising set up for themselves. Now we're going to cut back to some footage from the flood. This is sometime around September the 29th or 30th. It wasn't labeled specifically by Citizen Times. Now this footage is coming down that down ramp from Interstate 240, and we're going to see Wilson's RV repair shop here on the right-hand side. There it is, and the water has receded So we can see all of that equipment that was destroyed during the storm. And back to December the 3rd, they've gathered that equipment around. Now, in anticipation of the water coming up, they did move some RVs and equipment up on that off-ramp. Some of it wasn't high enough, so even that equipment they lost. Now, Tony and his wife started this RV park over 30 years ago. I know there's quite a following of people that come into town and enjoy staying at this park. Centrally located right by Asheville, right there on the Greenway, which you can ride a bike all the way into the River Arts District. You can see up in the tree how high the water was. Now these are the power drops that were all destroyed. If we can raise somewhere around $5,000, his estimate is he can get the water restored, which might get that FEMA contract, but that won't be sufficient to put the power back in. Now this is the landing and steps that went to the bathhouse for the park, and that was washed away. As with all storms, strangely some things aren't destroyed, and so these plants as well as that landing remain perfectly fine. Now before we move on, if you are moved to give to Tony Wilson to help him get back on his feet, there will be a link in the description, and I'll pin a comment as well. Now we're going slightly downriver here, and we are going over Carrier Park. Now before we go forward, I want to take a quick look at Carrier Park. This is some information that I didn't know. This is a runway that you see here. And I don't remember all the history, but this was a horse track and a runway there. And over time, that became a race car track and now has been turned into this park. And that's used as a velodrome for bike riding, roller skating, skateboarding. There are a number of amenities in here that are just a great community favorite. They had just completed a brand new playground that opened in August, just before the storm hit in September. So unfortunately, that has been destroyed, and you'll see that here in the footage. And we're going to cut back to some footage of the when the storm was hitting. Again, sometime around September 29th or 30th. So the water is receding. And this is Interstate 40 over here to the right. And we can see the solar panels there for Biltmore Estate. And now we're going to drive up and take a closer look on the ground. This wooden ramp and crosswalk that goes over the velodrome to get to the inside of that circle looks like it just has damage throughout. All the power lines are down, and there's a tremendous amount of damage. The cement looks to be fine, but restoring access to get in and cleaning it up, I imagine, is just going to take a long time. I don't know if they're cleaning up on the Carrier Park property here, or if that's another piece of property. And if you live in this area, you've probably been to Carrier Park. It's definitely a family favorite. My son learned to ride his bike here. That rink you see there is for roller hockey and roller skating and some other sports. A basketball court in the center there. Swings, there's beach volleyball. And then we'll take a look at the playground real quick. Again, such a shame because the old playground, which was great, it was all wood. It needed to be replaced, and they just finished putting this one in. Now we're going to drive down to the other parking lot here in Carrier Park, and we're going to take a look at two businesses, Architectural Woodcraft, as well as Harrins Sand and Gravel. And those are those two businesses straight ahead. Okay, as we pan from west to east, we're looking at Harrins Sand and Gravel. And this is Architectural Woodcraft here. You can see that the roof was taken off, and then this is the roof of that building over here. I looked on their website, and they are going to rebuild. Architectural Woodcraft was started in 1989. Initially for preservation and restoration of historic buildings in the area, and they have since expanded to custom doors, windows, cabinetry, and a number of things in woodworking. Now we're going to drive down the road a bit further here, and their next stop is going to be Greenway River Lodge and Cabins. Now I had an opportunity to stop in and talk to Shelton Steele, one of the owners, and he said that they had flooding here at the very at these cabins here on the very end where we see this dumpster. Now, back in 2022, I attended a live podcast put on by Jeff Kaplan of the Venture Asheville program that supports small businesses here in Asheville. There were so many great comments from that podcast that I've taken a few excerpts, and I'm just going to let that run here for a little while as we take a look at this business.
So when a river goes through a mountain, it creates a steep slope. So the steep slopes had to be laid back, and we had to build walls to hold the earth back so that we could build structures underneath it. That's a City of Asheville steep slope ordinance rule. It's in the floodplain, so that's why you see all the cabins. They're built up in the air. So each cabin is 2 feet above base flood elevation. That's just another city requirement. So if it were to hit the 100-year flood, all our structures are 2 feet above that. That's why they're on stilts.
Talk a little bit about the architecture and why A-frames.
We almost immediately landed on A-frames because they're unique structures, and we felt like that would resonate well with the public and help us book cabins. And then all those site constraints that we talked about, because those cabins are so close together, the steep pitched roof has no windows, so that the cabins are something like 5 feet apart, and so by having solid roof lines, you don't see your next door neighbor. And ultimately, is this kind of idea of the mountain range or river waves. Like once you put them all together, they look really beautiful.
This whole property, all of the structures were an exercise in space utilization. We had to get really creative with where we placed the structures, how we used the spaces that didn't have structures on them. We want to share the best parts of Asheville, Western North Carolina, create that sense of place that we feel is authentic to Asheville, which is outdoor centered. It's a little bit quirky. There's a lot to do outside. It's got these natural resources that are so beautiful. And we want a property that kind of reflects that in the structures, in the spaces that we have, in the materials that we use, and the location that it is, being so close to the river and the Greenway.
You're 50 yards to the side of the river.
Yeah, that's true.
And the other side of the river is the Biltmore. So
right.
Like if you're at the Biltmore and you're leaving on the way out, when you look across that field, which is where they grow soy and corn, when you look across that, you can see your A-frame tops.
I know.
It's amazing. Wow. It's beautiful to see it across.
Yeah, when you're leaving the Biltmore, just look across the river and you'll see our A-frames.
It's pretty amazing.
To us. We are wrongwaycampground.com. Yeah, and if you do want to book a cabin, look at availability, check pricing, any of those things, you just hit the Book Now button.
Great, so we're going to drive a little bit further down the road here to the end of Amboy where it crosses the river, and we'll take a look at the French Broad River Park. And this park was pretty well destroyed. There's quite a bit of land missing that was eaten away from underneath the bridge and around this area. Now this Greenway is fantastic. You can ride, it'll connect, it goes well upriver, but goes through Carrier Park down Amboy Road, and you can ride your bicycle all the way into River Arts District. Now, underneath this bridge, there was the Greenway path went under. You can see that it's gone. There's a shipping container under there. These municipal spaces are just going to take a long time to rebuild. The funding to repair them is just going to take a long time as a priority for the community, but also as just availability of funds. Now these are usually lawns covered with grass, various paths going through this area with that gazebo we had just seen. Now we're going to, we see the park there on the left-hand side, and we're going to pan up and look north up the French Broad River, where we will be looking down the River Arts District. Now in a future video, I'm going to be going into the River Arts District and talking to a few of the business owners there and highlighting their stories. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. I'll continue to do these videos, taking a look at our recovery from Hurricane Helene. As a small business owner myself in the Asheville area, I want to start to bring more of a focus to companies that need help. As an economic driver for our region, helping these businesses get back on their feet, employ people, and continue to support their families is incredibly important. Thanks again for watching. And if you'd like to see some other videos going back upstream up the Swannanoa River to look at the watersheds and the impact there, please find links to those videos below. Thanks again.